Dear friends, I'd like to share with you a true story. Many years ago, Father Frank Roof was a chaplain of the Kentucky State Penitentiary. Father Frank tells a very moving story about a prisoner named Paul Corden Brock. Paul was born in Fort Thomas in Kentucky and grew up in the permissive culture of 1960s or the hippie age. The popular philosophy back then was, if it feels good, do it. That philosophy seduced young Paul to a bad situation one after another. Then came one day when he found himself being condemned to death. In 1982, Paul introduced himself to Father Frank, asking him to hear his confession and bringing him communion. As they continued their meetings, Paul was introduced to other Catholic prisoners on death row. As time passed, Paul requested the prison officials to permit Father Frank to celebrate Mass for that small group of Catholic prisoners on death row. Paul took his faith very seriously and applied for correspondence courses in Scripture and Catholic morality, and later became a certified catechist. And each year, he brought at least one prisoner back to church, just like our RCIA or OCIA program here. This true story of Paul resembles today's gospel story of the Samaritan woman at the well in two ways. First, it's a story of how a sinful person came to Jesus and was totally changed after his encounter. Like Paul, how many of us share our faith with others and what God has done for us in our life? Secondly, although Jews did not interact with the Samaritans, even men didn't speak to women in public, here we can see what this woman did after her encounter with Jesus Christ at the well. The Gospel says the woman left the water jar and went into the town and said to the people, "Come and see a man who told me everything I have done in my life." Hearing this, people left their town and went to meet Jesus. And so the woman who had been a public sinner became Christianity's first missionary. After she discovered Jesus, she went off to share her experience with the Lord with her family, friends, and neighbors. And that is what Paul did too. He told his fellow prisoners, "Come and meet a man who has changed my life and he has done marvelous things for me." Thus, the man who was a notorious criminal for many years became death row's first missionary in the state penitentiary. Both these stories show us an important truth that we often tend to forget. When we let Jesus come into our lives, remarkable things begin to happen. Jesus can change our lives just as radically as he changed the life of that woman and that of Paul. Jesus is just as alive and active today as he was when he changed the woman at the well more than 2,000 years ago. And that is what the season of Lent is all about. It is about opening our hearts and minds and giving Jesus a chance to change us for the better, as he did for Paul, the criminal. If we do this, Jesus can work miracles for us and reach out to other people as well. Today's gospel challenges us to get rid of our unholy attachments and sinful habits that keep us enslaved in our present life. Dear friends, Lent is a time here for us to learn from our mistakes. Mistakes of overindulgence in food, drink, drugs, spreading rumors, and any other addictions that we may have and that keep us coming from to Jesus for the living waters and to set our relationship with God. Lent is a good time when church invites us, those who still believe because of others' stories, to come personally and believe in the Lord. And we must believe not only because of others' faith, like our parents, grandparents, but because we have known the Lord personally and experienced His love in our lives, just as the Samaritan woman and Paul the prisoner did in their lives. I'd like to close with a story from Father Tony DiMello from his book, Song of a Bird. He writes about the life of an old man, and the prayer goes, I was a revolutionary when I was young, and all my prayer to God was, Lord, give me the grace to change the world. As I approached my middle age, without changing a single soul, my prayer was, Lord, give me the grace to change my family and friends. Now that I am old and see how foolish I have been, and my only prayer is, Lord, give me the grace to change my life. If I had prayed this from the very start, I should not have wasted all my life.